There's this quote that I really like that it basically says every person should ask themselves, is this a friendly universe? And just go from there, because that's basically the difference between being optimistic or pessimistic. Like it's how are you looking at the universe? Do you feel like the universe is working with you or against you? And
Right.
that's a perspective and that's a choice for you to make and decide.
Mhm.
And we can decide, like, why not decide for the latter, where the universe is friendly and does want you to thrive and win and like go through this stuff so that you can become the best version of yourself. What would
Right.
I look
Right.
like a year if I just keep dragging this heavy sled with me forever and I just don't? What is my life going to look like? How is my mental health going to be doing? How's my physical health, spiritual health, anything? Like, how is that going to look like if I just keep pushing it off? Like, how is that going
Correct.
to look like? And once you make that contrast, it's a lot easier for you to, like, oh yeah, actually this is just the logical perspective. Like this, I really just like, let me sit down. And like there's this quote that I really like that it basically says every person should ask themselves, is this a friendly universe? And just go from there, because that's basically the difference between being optimistic or pessimistic. Like it's how are you looking at the universe? Do you feel like the universe is working with you or against you? And
Right.
that's a perspective and that's a choice for you to make and decide.
Mhm.
And we can decide, like, why not decide for the latter, where the universe is friendly and does want you to thrive and win and like go through this stuff so that you can become the best version of yourself. Because realistically, if you're going through a hard time, and you're like, oh, why is this happening to me? Honestly, the way that I like to think about it, like, I'm glad that it happened to me now. Because if it
Mm.
didn't happen to me now, then I'm probably gonna have to deal with it later because I don't have the tools yet to deal with it.
Facts.
So I'm like, oh,
Facts.
I'm glad that whatever struggle or issue I'm dealing with, whether it's financial, psychological, physical, whatever it might be, I literally embrace it. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is just something that I need to work on, something that I need to learn, so that I don't have to deal with it later on. And even and sometimes, like, you might get through it now, but if you don't really learn from it later on when it does pop up again, then you're gonna suffer again. It's
Yeah.
not like
Make the
it's
same
not
choices.
you make the same choices.
Yeah.
I love, yeah, and I love the Oreo analogy as well, where I love Oreos, by the way. Where, yeah, change and uncomfortable and growth, like, go hand in hand, because
Yeah.
like, let's keep it real. Like, if you want to grow, most likely you need to change. Like, otherwise you're most likely staying the same. If
Correct.
you're staying the same, like, um,
What are we doing?
what are you doing? What growth is really happening here?
We're just doing this.
You're doing this, exactly.
What
When
what what is that?
realistically we want a clear, like, gradual growth.
Yeah, man.
Of course, like, we prefer probably explosive growth, but, like, let's keep it real. Gradual is
Yeah.
sustainable, and gradual
Correct.
is it's actually something that we can, like, plan for even sometimes. So,
You know what else is good about that too?
mhm,
When you talk about gradual growth, like you're pointing out, what's great about that? You appreciate the journey more.
yeah,
If you like, let's try to use like an example for like the platform, right? If I
yeah,
could give you, if I could give you, Carlos, 100,000 followers tomorrow, or I could give you 1,000,
mm,
and then next week 2,000, and the week after that 3,000, and eventually it added up to 100,000, but it was a nice grind. You would appreciate the second example more because you got to sit in it, just like all this embracing the uncomfortable that we were talking about. You appreciate the journey because you're like, damn, I was here. Now I'm here. Look at what happened over that period of time, right? That feels very, very different than, oh, I was here and then it just shot up. You're gonna look at that and you might lose part of that, right?
yeah, you lose some of the gratitude towards, like, the actual outcome. Because if you go from 0 to 100 per se, like, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, it's just 100,000. But like when you actually like wear there for every single 1,000, then you can actually experience and embrace a lot more gratitude throughout our process.
Oh yeah.
And gratitude is powerful. I think I mentioned this in the past. Like we can only focus on one thing. Like it's impossible for you to be grateful and anxious. It's impossible for you to be grateful and angry. So if we can experience that when you do get like 100,000 or whatever, then you can actually like, oh wow, this means a lot to me. Like I know how much it took for me to get there, or whatever it was. So it increases the amount of gratitude you can experience in your own life. That's you know, that's a fulfilling life right there.
And you hit a buzzword there, right there. You said fulfillment. How many people, I mean, I can ask this question. How many people walking around fulfilled?
Ooh. Oh, we need to do a research study on that.
We'll say that. That's a whole other episode. Like, you know, that's a real question, though.
Yeah, for real.
People, you know, like, but anyway, we'll table that part. I did want to mention one more thing to what you were mentioning earlier, though. When you talk about overcoming these challenges and like your outlook, right? If the universe is helping me or is it against me? What I would say also for those of us that come from minority groups or we're from marginalized groups, right? That includes women, you know, people from the LGBTQ plus community. Think about it like this. Many of us know there's already certain, maybe there are injustices, there are hurdles, barriers to entry for different things that we want to get involved with, right? Could be school, careers, relationships, laws being favorable to us, what have you. You know, we can take that a lot of different ways. So we know there's certain things that are already inherently against us, right? Mm. Going back to Carlos's point a moment ago, if I think also that the world is against me, that the universe is against me, what I'm also doing is I'm creating another barrier and another hurdle that I have to get over. So let me take a step back there. I was saying we all already know there's certain things that we already have to deal with, right? That we as individuals don't get to fundamentally change at this moment in time. So we all have to learn how to overcome them and be resilient. Why would I want to? It's just a question. Why would I want to artificially create another one that I have to get over? Would you have a response to that, Carl?
No, that's 100% fair. Like, no, that literally, like you said, it's an obstacle that we're creating for ourselves. Like, even from a logical standpoint, like, okay, so if you're running a race and you're just basically, all right, let me put a pothole in here.
Go fly my tire real quick.
Yeah, you know, it's just even from a logical standpoint, like make that, because that journey of healing. The journey of that work, it's already difficult. It's already challenging, right? So why make it even more challenging by giving yourself more obstacles, by giving yourself more barriers to jump over?
Yes.
Let's make it as easy as possible for us to go through that healing, to do that work, so that the work itself can happen more consistently, so that we can stay on that path, so that we can continue to do that healing. And create that gradual growth that we're looking for, because like the whole point of the gradual like growth part it's about us consistently staying on that grind, consistently doing that shadow work, consistently showing up for ourselves. If we're doing that like, oh, I'm gonna meditate, you know, every 2 weeks, oh, once a month, oh, every 2 days, and like just jumping back and forth, like it can be really difficult to create that gradual healing that's going to get us to that next level of whatever that might look like for you.
Yeah. No. So, yeah. So right.
I just love the metaphors and the similes and everything that you use. Like, I'm a very visual learner, and I love that stuff because it really does stick in your brain, and it really does help you to like really visualize what that work looks like. And the hurdles that we create for ourselves that we don't have to create for ourselves. And talking about have to as well, because I know sometimes it's just even getting started on doing that healing that's difficult. That's something that I teach a lot of the people that I work with, is that you don't have to do the inner work. You get to be so that important change in verbiage really helps you, because when you start telling yourself like, oh, I have to do this shadow work, oh, I have to do this meditation so I can get through this trauma or whatever, it becomes an obligation. So eventually it's hard to maintain because you're basically forcing yourself to do it. But when you move to I get to, you can be grateful. Like, what do you mean I get to like feel my trauma again? Yeah, you get to. Like, you get to get through these feelings, you get to feel all those emotions, you get to feel the whole range of human emotions. You get to feel like a true full life. You get to feel all of it. It's a blessing, and at the end of the day, like,
and appreciate them, like you're saying. Appreciate the whole range and the spectrum of them.
Exactly. It's that, you feel me. That's exactly it. Like, we get to appreciate all of it.